pitting. The leading drivers had already pitted, of course. Here comes Alonso. Oh.
Yeah. So it was not a car failure. It's a bit familiar to me, to be honest.
And then it dug in twice into the gravel.
So he's gone to switch sides as Gutierrez is slowing down. It's caught him out a little bit. And there he goes. So initially he's looking to the right, switches sides, and Gutierrez has braked much earlier than he expected, or lifted off much earlier than he expected. And up in the air it goes.
And it was just a glancing blow at first, wasn't it? But there's a red flag as well. As we look at these replays, the race has actually now been red flagged whilst they recover that McLaren. We won't get that camera back. But joy of joys to see Fernando Alonso walk away from that, shake hands and embrace Esteban Gutierrez.
That's the trouble with the gravel. It does tend to grab hold of bits of the car and fling it into the air.
Fernando Alonso didn't race in Australia last year after his crash in testing for McLaren. Racing here for the first time then in 3 years and ending up with a quite horrific crash. And I'll say again, Ted Kravitz, I am so happy to see him walk away from it.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. Echo that. I'll find out why they needed to red flag it, Crofty. I don't know if you can see whether the barriers require so much rebuilding that it would take too long under a safety car, or...
Well, I mean, they've stopped the race, Ted, I think, basically because there's so much debris down there.
Yeah, I agree. I think they just needed to get a lot of people out there. Ted, we've probably seen pictures that you haven't had a chance to see down there in the pit lane.
Yeah, indeed. All the drivers are now, and lots of equipment being wheeled past me. All the drivers are going to stop in a line right in front of me in the pit lane. And from now on, they can change anything they like. So it's a real shame that we have been denied this, the playing out of this strategic battle, because we have the Ferraris and Nico Rosberg going to stop again. Hamilton was going to one stop and go to the end, as were the Force Indias of Perez and Hulkenberg. Bottas had also pitted under the safety car and was going to go to the end on the medium tyre, as was Kevin Magnussen. But it's a complete reset in the order that we've got. Well, I'll tell you what tyres they go on, and another chance perhaps for the world champion Lewis Hamilton. You could say the big losers out of this were the Ferraris, though.
Yeah. Well, it certainly hasn't helped Hamilton, has it? Because he just made his pit stop and put on tyres that will get him to the end of the race. And now, as Fernando Alonso acknowledges the crowd and not even limping now, thankfully, he looked a little bit like he was struggling to walk in when he first got out, and that is a very good sight indeed. And in many ways, there are no brake lights on these cars, and they would be useless anyway. They slow down so quickly, a brake light would not really give you an awful lot in such close quarters at high speed. But he's just been caught out by switching sides just as the car in front of him slowed more quickly and in a place he wasn't fully expecting. And in many ways, it's amazing that doesn't happen more often, frankly.
10 years since his second world title, Fernando Alonso. First time he's ever retired here in Australia as well. Looking back at his previous record, podium, 5 podiums over the years, and of course a win as well, and ending up walking into the medical car.
And of course, as soon as the race starts, they're out of Parc Fermé, so they, as Ted pointed out, they can make
winning a championship seems